Needles carried by combat medics are designed to gain immediate entry into a vein. They are twice the size of those carried by ordinary paramedics. Pete sets up an intravenous fluid on a small drip, using the weight of the patient to create a steady flow. The final step involves using a key code to mark the casualty's forehead to help the evacuation unit. In Mac's case, it's an M to show he's been given morphine. Serious injury to a member of the SAS patrol has severely affected their mobility to break away from behind enemy lines. The mine explosion has alerted the local militia, and the SAS are about to be contacted or bumped yet again. The medic has to leave his patient and engage in the firefight.
Johnny! Pete, go and check Johnny.
The ferocious firefight has left all the enemy dead, but the SAS patrol has also taken losses.
Ted! Get his weapons and ammo! Okay.
Even with the patrolman dead, there is no time for sentiment. Pete strips Johnny's body for the remains of his weapons and ammunition. The patrol chooses to replace Pete's M16 with the firepower of the Mini-Me. With the patrol now down to 3 and 1 still critical, the chances of making it to a successful extraction point are fading fast. The immediate priority is to lift and shift to a suitable place for shelter before darkness falls. The worst-case scenario for a combat medic in times of conflict is when they have to contend with not one, but multiple casualties. Recently, armed forces traveling in convoys have come under attack in places like Kosovo and the Gulf, with horrific consequences. British combat medics, faced with mass casualties during the Falklands War, worked with a system called triage when deciding who was first priority for treatment. Many medics were under the command of Surgeon Rick Jolly.
The casualties have come in large numbers in 3 separate incidents. And I won't give you any figures, but I'm proud to say that thanks to the combined efforts of the naval surgeons and the army surgeons and the Royal Marines that support them, everyone that's come in here alive, despite their horrible wounds, has gone out alive.
21 years on from the Falklands conflict, we've asked Surgeon Rick Jolly to explain the actions of an SAS patrol medic when faced with a multiple casualty scenario. We have simulated an incident in which a vehicle patrol is hit by a rocket-propelled grenade. This is a nightmare scenario for an SAS medic who needs to treat the casualties and keep them alive during what is medically known as the golden hour of survival.
Here we've got an individual. He hasn't got time for emotion. He has to apply the principles of triage or sorting very bravely. Divide the casualties into priorities for treatment.
On his first assessment, the medic has to make a series of instant decisions in diagnosing who to treat first. This is based on the history of the incident and the casualty's ability to breathe, not on who calls out the loudest in pain. In medical terms, this is called ABC, maintaining airways, breathing, and circulation. The first diagnosis is the most crucial. Any mistakes or indecision at this stage could mean death for one or more of the casualties.
In his first quick walk around and assessment, he has put an airway into the driver's mouth to keep the tongue forward. Now, the first thing he's got to do is in suspecting that there might be a chest injury is to expose the access area. And he goes to his magic bag. Now I want you to notice how the material from the bag is organized in his mind, and he goes straight to it. He's got a syringe, a needle, a cannula in his hands, and paramedics in the military, especially those who work with special forces, are taught to access the circulation via the jugular vein.
This casualty will still have further breathing problems, but with 3 more casualties to treat, he needs to move on.
This chap in the back of the vehicle, who from his appearance has obviously sustained thermal burns, flash burns to the face, to the inside of the nose, the inside of the mouth, and down to the soft tissues of the throat. The tissues of the voice box are very, very sensitive to this kind of heat and can swell up with enormous rapidity, and so he's going to do something about it, and he puts an intravenous infusion up. And the first thing he does, once that is flowing and running and he's got the line stabilized, is he then draws up a dose of steroids to try and reduce the amount of swelling that will result from flash burns of the throat. He's done what's necessary for this patient, and he can put up a little flip card in the back of his mind: I may still have some problems with the airway on this one.
Oh, what about me? Oh.
This chap's going to need help, but he can wait. And he comes down to the prone casualty, who's lying there in a pretty well near unconscious state. He sees the warning sign of blood in the ear. He might very well have suffered a serious spinal injury. So very correctly and very swiftly, he gets out the cervical collar, and he quickly locks it into an estimated correct position in relation to the body. Then our poor chap left. Here he really is the lowest item on the totem pole.
The SAS medic has completed his first round of treatment on all 4 casualties. Casualty 1 has been given an intravenous access for drugs and blood. Casualty 2 has been given an intravenous drip to reduce the amount of swelling in his throat. Casualty 3 has received a neck brace. Casualty 4 has been given no treatment so far. We'll find out later in the program how our medic increases the casualty's chances of survival. But for now, it's back to our mission. The patrol has, over the course of the day, endured a firefight which has left one of the team dead. Another remains critically injured, and they are still miles away from a safe extraction point. To make matters worse, the enemy have replaced the ineffective local militia with an elite hunter force. Their commander, wary of booby traps, first sends in a man to check the dead SAS patrolman's body. He then begins a detailed sweep of the area, searching for the remains of blood, bullets and boot marks to track the SAS patrol.
3 or 4. Leave the load.
Leave them.
The actions of the SAS patrol have until now been based on adrenaline. This has been the first time they have managed to lie up in relative safety and think about what they need to do next. Eddie, the patrol commander, knows that the chances of making it to safety from behind enemy lines are fading fast, especially with an injured man to carry. Also, the chances of Max surviving all the way to the extraction point are slim. The patrol needs to make a difficult survival decision. Should they leave their man behind, or should they continue to carry him?
The medical treatment we have given him, although it's good, is very basic.